Aging is biological, but growth is by choice. As the great writer Maya Angelou once said, "I am convinced that most people do not grow up. I think what we do is mostly grow old." Emotional maturity often has nothing to do with age. We've all seen 25-year-olds who have the character and composure of someone twice their age. And we've also seen people in their 40s who are still emotional infants. Different things lead to different outcomes in the way we grow up, but that's not what this video is about. The signs of emotional immaturity can be very obvious, but tricky. It's tricky because the most emotionally immature people will rarely admit to themselves that they are emotionally immature. That said, here are the major signs you'll notice in adults who haven't attained emotional maturity. 1. They have a very fragile ego. Have you ever been in an argument with someone who just kept arguing blindly because they couldn't handle losing? It takes emotional maturity to argue constructively. Mature people can step back in an argument and admit defeat when they see they have the wrong point of view. This is what it means to be a grown-up. Have you seen kids lose in sports or a debate? They just cry because they can't handle not winning. This is what you do when you don't know how to process your emotions. However, when you're emotionally mature, you should understand that it's okay not to win. You don't lose your ability to be rational simply because your ego is being threatened. You're aware that you can be wrong sometimes, and that's okay. As the author Eckhart Tolle wisely said, ego implies unawareness. Awareness and ego cannot coexist. 2. They have a high sense of entitlement. When you were in high school, you probably didn't bother about how your parents paid for your school fees or got you presents for your birthday. All you knew was that you had parents, and it was their duty to make you happy. But when you grow up, you realize that the world doesn't revolve around you. You start to see some aspects of life that you didn't pay attention to as a child. For instance, you'll start to see that your parents also have needs, and that life doesn't revolve around you. Everyone has a life, and if they choose to create time for you, you should be grateful. If they don't, well, no one owes you anything. As author Roy Bennett put it, you stop complaining and making excuses in your life. You realize everything that happens in life is a result of the previous choice you've made and start making new choices to change your life. 3. They can't take responsibility for their mistakes. Have you seen people who suddenly become defensive when you try to point out something they did wrong? Being in a relationship with them is hell. Try to correct them and they'll bring up a counterfault of your own. They don't know how to process the fact that they are not perfect. Sometimes people like these are your colleagues at work. They may not act out because it's a work environment, but the mere fact that you had the effrontery to confront them, or worse, tell the boss about a mistake they made will turn you into a lifelong enemy of theirs. Sure, it hurts to be wrong, but it's the way you handle it that shows your level of emotional maturity. Emotionally immature people, as psychologist Dr. Tracy Hutchinson explained, are unable to deal with reality, and as such, they tend to alter their perceptions of reality to fit their own needs. An emotionally mature adult understands that he or she isn't perfect. We all make mistakes, and the mistakes we make don't define us. We simply learn from them, and we move on. 4. They can't handle their emotions. The defining trait of an emotionally mature person is how well they can handle their emotions. For instance, when a guy approaches a lady and gets rejected, how does he take it? When a lady receives an honest but negative comment about her attitude from a guy, how does she take it? When a friend says no to favor from you, how do you feel? When your parents refuse to hand over money to you like they always do, how do you take it? As psychologist Joyce Marter explained, the way you handle these moments of intense emotions says a lot about your level of emotional maturity. An emotionally immature person will quickly have an emotional outrage when things don't go their way, and sometimes they'll resolve to blame others just to shield their perfect but fragile narrative of themselves.